Hi, this is Tweek. Summer's coming and it's time to figure out a new way of using these beautiful, colorful beaded cluster balls. Let's add some copper wire and create a sun catcher spinner. Join us. Supplies you'll need for this project are: you'll need lots of beads. I'm using 7mm acrylic beads in a rainbow of colors. You will need some wire for making jewelry, and you'll also need some thick copper wire for beading the cluster balls. You will also need a swivel clasp and a couple of key rings, cutters, and a pair of pliers. So let's get started. We start the project by making a beaded cluster ball. Now I've done those in the past in other videos, so if you'd like to see how I did that in a slower mode, click the link right here. Right now I'm going to take the jewelry wire. This is a 0.018 size wire, and I'm going to get a couple feet of it. To make this cluster ball, we need a full cluster ball. We need 30 beads. Now here's my little handy bead guide that helps me go along as I string. I'm going to use yellow. And you want to take your beads and line them up in order, in sequence. So there's a 5 and a 4 and a 3. And after you do this for a while, you don't have to use the guide. It'll be in your head, but I like to have it just so I can make reference. The beads tend to roll sometimes, and I might get off count a little. So here we go. We've got our wire. We pull off the first 5 beads, and we string them on the wire. These beads have a little bit of a crackle inside of them. So what I do to find the hole in the bead to string it, I just roll the bead around a little bit till you see where that hole is. Match up the 2 ends. Then you're going to take a wire and come through. This is our first pentagon set of 5 beads. Okay. I want to try to make these 2 sides as even as I can. So I'm just going to manipulate the beads a little bit so that they're even. Now I've got a left side wire in front of me and a right side wire. What I'm going to do is follow the sequence, add beads to the right side, pull through with the left side, and here we go. We have a cluster ball. To finish it off, I'm going to skim around the top here. I'm just going to let this wire go around a couple beads. I want these 2 wires to meet each other so I can put in a nice tight knot. Nice tug. I'll bring in the pliers to make sure it's really tight. And snip that off close as you can to the knot, and it disappears, and we have ourselves a cluster ball ready to be strung. Thing is, you need to make 40 more of these. And let me show you what I did. So to make this, mine's going to be in a rainbow pattern on the copper wire. So I made 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 41 to be exact. You can do less on yours, but that's how ours is going to go today. So I've got some wire at the local home center, and this is a piece that's 5 feet long. I wanted my piece to be a little more coiled, although it will hang this way. And the copper is really nice and amiable as far as being bent around and coiled around. So what I'm going to do is set you guys aside for just a second, because I don't want to send you everywhere, as I found an aluminum water bottle, and I just like the size of it. I like the circumference. So I'm taking the lid off, and I'm just going to push this end a little ways in, and then I'm going to pull it straight down. I'm using this aluminum, it's helping me to maneuver this copper. Okay, like that. That's what you got now. That's what I'm going to use to make the hook at the end. So what I'm going to do now is hang on as tight as I can. I'm just going to start winding the copper around this bottle. This piece of wire is 5 feet long, and it cost about $4. So you could actually make more than one project out of it if you wish to. Now we're just going to pull this out. Okay, see how great that worked. Now I've got my coil to work with. I'm figuring this will be the top. Get it out of the way. I don't want to bend it too much, because then it really, when you get it tight, it really gets harder to maneuver. But I'm going to play around with that later. Right now, get that out of the way. I'm going to start stringing this wire with the cluster balls. Now, these are 7mm beads, so the cluster balls came out to be the perfect size for fitting through. See that? All you have to do is decide what colors you want to use, decide your pattern, and make sure when you go through evenly. So it's going to hang evenly. So go from one side right out the other. So let's start going here. I've got a rainbow pattern. Okay, that's the last one. Okay, and I'm just going to go around, and I'm going to see how far we get here. This can be done with glass beads. Now, these are acrylic, which means they're lighter. If you use glass beads, the piece is definitely going to be heavier. Red, orange so far. See what's happening here? Let them sink on down. And they're going to stop down there. And I will pull this as I need to, give a little more space between. So this part's just however you want. This is just a fun little, what colors do you want? What do you want the space to be? Do you want it to be longer? Do you want it to be shorter? So I'm just kind of playing with it as I go. The important thing is to have this already coiled, because you won't want to try to coil it when the beads are on it, and to have your sequence set and how you want this to look when it's on there. And make sure you go through both. Here comes the yellow. So we got so far, and I'm already getting the feeling I'm going to stretch it out a little more. Here we go. Let's keep going. I tend to, in my down times, if I'm doing something like around the television, I will make cluster balls and get them on hand. It's nice to have all the beads. I had really good value find on the beads. I got a pound of beads for, I think it was under $5. So I'm always on the hunt for beads. And coming up with new ways to use these clusters is just fun. I can't wait to see this hanging in the sunshine. So here we are to this point. Now, decisions. We're going to hang it from up here. I want it spread out a little bit more. So I'm just going to pull just to put a little more space between each little rung there. See now they're going down more, so I need to finish it off and then play around with the spacing I want in there. So to finish it off, I'm going to very gently, if I can, let's see what I got here. I want to make just a little bit of a curl. See how the whole thing is curling, which is good. But I want that inner piece to curl too. And having these two wires, these two little curls buddy up next to each other is good. Okay, good, because now I can hang something in there. I can pull this down a little bit. And now I'm going to let these sit towards the bottom. Good. And roll everybody down. Wow, this looks like a really crazy lollipop. Now I'm just going to pull just to give it a little more space between each curl. Pushing down the top one, even it out a little bit. Pull you out just a little bit. What do you think? I'm getting close to what I want it to be. The copper's just wonderful for bending and twisting. Okay, so I've got a little spot on the bottom. I probably would just keep futzing with this until I actually hang it outside. But now let's work on the top. So I've got extra up here. And what I'm going to do is I want to put a swivel up here. So I'm actually going to curl this top up here. Unbend it a little bit more. Come up as close as I can to the beads. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want it to be of interest in a place that I can hang my swivel hook. So I'm wrangling with this top, and I'm going to cut off this extra. Here's my cutter here. Good little cutter. So I cut that off, and now I'm going to use these guys to flatten this out. Nice. See, if you got the right tools, this bends really easily. Okay, got that so far. I'm going to fumble with that some more. I know I'm going to. All right, I want to put a nice hook there. Oh, you bounce too, huh? I have got a couple options here. I'm going to use a couple of these key ring hooks. I want this to swivel. I think I'm going to put the lobster claw between the two so that I don't need 3 of them, just need 2. So I've got 2 rings and I'm putting a lobster claw swivel between. So when we hang this, it will spin. Okay, it's going to swivel. I do want to play a little more. I want the colors to show up a little better and not be all on top of each other. You never know how one of these is going to turn out, but I am starting to really like this. We're going to get the colors. And down here, there's just enough space. The copper's sitting in on next to itself, but I would like to put one of my birds down there. So let's hang this up. And this is when, if you want to add more space between, give it a few little tweaks. And then what color bird would I like? I've got a cardinal that I made. I think, you know what? I think we'll start where we ended, or end where we started with a canary. So I'm going to take him and put him on there. And so he's fixed. So now I have, I might have to shorten that up a little bit, but there you have it, your own spiral cluster ball suncatcher. So if you like what you've seen here today, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to ring the bell so you know when another episode of Tweaks with Tweek is coming along. Until then, oh my goodness, look at that bird dance. Make one of these and let them dance in your sunniest window. See you again.